relax your arm for me. Just relax. All done. What's that? All done.
This is the JWN podcast. I'm your host, Joseph Meanstead. Welcome to episode 49. I'm still getting a little choked up when I watch the video of Margaret Keenan, the first person in Britain to get this vaccine. It's just, it's like the light at the end of the tunnel. We can see it now. You know, it's there's so much hope in you know, I know it's just one person. I know it's just, it's kind of symbolic. They made a big to-do about it, and I fall for it hook, line, and sinker. Oh, I'm so excited. So excited. She's a British grandmother, and she's the first person in the world, actually, not just in Britain, to receive the Pfizer vaccine out of trials, And yeah, she's 90 years old. And that was on Tuesday, December 8th. I'm recording this on Thursday night, and it still gets me. So let me take a deep breath and get myself together. Whew, I hope you're doing well. I hope you're feeling great. Happy Hanukkah to those who celebrate. As of now, sun has gone down, and it's Hanukkah. So if you're a Jewish person and you celebrate Hanukkah, well, happy Hanukkah to you. Oh, man, I made a salad this morning, or I'm sorry, this afternoon, I should say. And I pulled out my mushrooms to slice up, and I had moldy mushrooms. Think about that for a second. Moldy mushrooms. Well, anyway, yeah, I'm telling you, things are going to get better. The moldy mushrooms did not get me down. I didn't even know you could get fungus on your fungus. Anyway, this weekend was fun. I did that trail run that I told you guys about last week on the podcast, and it went off without a hitch. It was great. I showed up, and people were pretty much responsible. It was outdoors, obviously. And, this doesn't mean anything, what I'm about to say. But mentally, you get the idea that if people are able to run 15 or 30 miles at a clip, they're probably healthy. Even though that doesn't mean anything. Scientifically, that's a dumb thing to say. But mentally, you're like, okay, I'm outdoors. And I kept my mask on, just like I did for the last race I did. I kept it on probably the first mile or so. And by the time I took my mask off, there was nobody even close to me. We were just, there wasn't a lot of people. There was maybe about 50 people in this race. And it was easy to spread out. It definitely was easy to spread out. And, I had a lot of fun. It was much better than the last trail race that I tried to run. If you have listened to these solo shows for a while, you might remember that a few weeks back I tried to run a trail run, and it went horribly wrong. It got very hot, and it was humid, and it was in the woods, and I didn't feel all that great. And I got the warning signs of heat stroke. So after 5 miles, I dropped out of that race. Then I did recently a half marathon on the road. That went great. And this race went great. Unfortunately, I didn't do better than I did in the same race last year, which is kind of sad, but it was only like a 14-second difference. So, and it's not an exact timing situation with this race. It's more of a stopwatch type of thing. There's no chip time in these trail runs, at least not for this race, but it was so much fun. I am already looking for other races to do. I might do one in January. We shall see. But I'll be honest, things are a little scary right now. The Thanksgiving effect is starting to take hold. And, we're watching the numbers locally go up. They're still not that bad where I live. They're really just not. But the percentages of people getting it when they go get tests, those are going up. And just overall, they're going, numbers are going up. But honestly, when I think about yesterday's United States death toll, and it was more people died in the United States of COVID-19 than did on 9/11. 9/11 happened a long time ago, almost 20 years ago. And I still have not recovered fully from it. It still is hard for me to even talk about. And that was just Wednesday in 2020. The amount of people that we lost in 9/11 was eclipsed on just a Wednesday in December. And I don't know what today's numbers are going to be. I haven't looked that up yet. I haven't heard anything about that yet. And I'm almost scared to, because I choose to go back to the way we started the podcast and focus on someone like Margaret Keenan, the 90-year-old British lady who was the first person to get jabbed, as they say in England, across the pond. Yeah, that news is carrying me through the reality, which is we've got a long, dark winter ahead of us. But there is a light. There's a light. And for me, I'm choosing to focus on this 90-year-old lady in her Christmas sweater. And that's going to help me focus on the long game. I also did something this weekend. I did a photo shoot for my favorite yoga studio, which is Charleston Community Yoga. I did a bunch of headshots for some newer yoga instructors there, and we also did some fun shots in the area around the studio. Did some in the studio and did some stuff outside. While we were shooting in the alleyway, it's called the Charleston Art Walk. I think I've mentioned it a couple of times on the podcast before, but in the Avondale neighborhood of Charleston, there's this alleyway behind some of the businesses that has, and it's something that is kind of curated, graffiti, street art and stuff like that, murals. And so we were taking pictures back there. And so we're taking pictures of yoga poses and whatnot. We look over, about a block away. And there's this woman who's dancing in front of one of the murals with seemingly no clothes on. She had the barest of bare minimum. And mind you, it's December. And she's got barely dental floss would be a good mental picture for what she was wearing. She left not much to the imagination. And the owner of the yoga studio is the first person who noticed. She's like, look at the shoot that's going on down there. I feel like we're a little overdressed. So we ended up talking to the person filming it. And he was this very nice gentleman. He gave us his card. He has a project, I guess a video project on YouTube called 29 Red Brick. And I'll link it. I'll link it in the show notes today. And you should go check it out. It's extremely, he's got a thing. He's got a thing going on. He just sets up a camera on a tripod, an old-fashioned, I shouldn't say old-fashioned, I don't know how old it is, but it's like a handy cam type of thing. Little video camera, sets it up, and he's got music playing, but of course he I guess uses royalty-free music on his YouTube channel, because the music that was on the YouTube channel is not the same music that we were hearing out in the alleyway. But he just has scantily clad people dancing in front of iconic Charleston places. That's the whole thing. That's his, there's no mission. There's just people dancing. I got sucked in. I don't know. It's pretty fun. Check it out. But that was an interesting photo shoot, to say the least. also, that day, that was on Sunday. This weekend was another busy weekend. We went to a music festival in Charleston, sort of. I mean, it's a music festival. It was called Femme Fest, and it was put together by the fine folks at 9 to 5 magazine, which is a local magazine here in Charleston that covers kind of the independent arts scene. We showed up because I did have that photo shoot. By the time I showed up, I caught the last two bands. I caught Baby Yaga and Babe Club. And Baby Yaga actually had pretty much most of Babe Club as the backing band because I guess her band was unable to perform that day. So you couldn't have known by watching the set. They sounded great. Baby Yaga sounded great. Babe Club sounded awesome. If you haven't heard the podcast where they were on, just go check it out. I'll link it on here, just in case you missed that one. But it was a lot of fun, and I got to take some pictures of a live show again, and that was like, I didn't take a whole lot of pictures, but it was still kind of like, this is what this feels like. Okay, I remember this feeling, and I have to say there was something that funny, kind of weird, very 2020 that happened in their set. Jenna, who is the lead singer, she, I guess she wrote a song this year, she had COVID, and I guess she wrote a song talking about like that isolation and being locked down and all that kind of stuff. But while she was introing the song, she called out, "So, has anyone here had COVID?" And I mean, what an odd call out. And the odder thing is the amount of people that cheered and clapped like, oh, okay. A lot of people in that crowd had COVID, or they had it. And yeah, and it's weird. My wife and I both went to this festival, and we were supposed to have an assigned table, but it kind of was very loosely run. I felt like the venue was a little overwhelmed staff wise, and so we found a table that was quite far away from people and sat by ourselves for the most part. And when I went to go take some pictures, I kind of walked up to the front of the stage, which was pretty clear of people. They kept all the tables pretty distant, so I wasn't really in anyone's way or near anybody. And I saw some people I knew there. It just kind of almost felt like old times, going to the Royal American type of feel of seeing similar people. And yeah, that felt very nice, but it was also kind of scary. I'm not gonna lie. There were too many people who just, weren't following the rules. And I don't know if there were groups of people that were together, that were just sticking together without masks on, just standing off to the side. They didn't, I didn't feel unsafe, but I felt unnerved, if you know what I mean. Like there was enough people not practicing safe social distancing or wearing a mask to make you go like, who's going to take charge of this situation? And I know, hey, maybe all those people had COVID already, but we still don't know for sure if having it makes you immune or makes it so that you can't pass it along still. We guess, we follow most other contagious diseases, and you would think that probably that's the case, but we don't know. So if we don't know, we got to do what's right, and that's mask up and keep our distance, If we don't, then these little gifts that we get, the hard work that the people at 9 to 5 magazine put in to organize this thing, it's not going to happen again if we don't follow the rules. It's going to get taken away from us. Speaking of taken away from us, it looks like one of Charleston's venues that hosts a lot of the kinds of bands that are touring bands that I'd like to see. The Music Farm is as of now no longer in business. They're done. So they are a victim of COVID-19. And these are the kind of things that, as they pile up, are going to get really, really difficult once things start turning around. We still have to deal with all that collateral damage. And how are we going to do it? Is somebody going to step in and pick up and purchase the music farm and keep it going as a music venue? Or is it going to become another condo or parking garage or thing we don't really actually want or need? You know, we've lost, one of our best performance theaters already. Now we've lost a music venue that's one of the premier music venues in Charleston. If we don't save these things, how or why are people going to want to come here? If there's no culture, why would you come? Like, if you're going to go to a city and you can't enjoy all of the nightlife and the culture beyond like bars where you just go get drunk, not everybody wants to do that. Not everybody is a college age kid that wants to get plowed every night. Did I say plowed? That too. But yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, we need these cultural things. I don't know why they're not a priority for the city of Charleston, but they're not. And it's obvious because they keep closing. And it makes you wonder, like, what's next? When are you going to start to realize, oh, this is bad news. We need to do something. I don't know what the answer is, though. I really don't know. But I feel like as a community, we need to come together and make sure that our favorite venues exist. And let's see what we can. Let's cheer up a little bit. There's some fun stuff going on this weekend. If you're hearing this podcast when it comes out, which will be on Friday the 11th of December. If you're in the Charleston area, I'm sorry, I'm being very local on the podcast today because that's what I'm feeling. And I apologize if I'm excluding you, if you're listening and you're not in this area. But this applies to you if you are wherever you are, because I feel like this weekend coming up, there's a lot of holiday kind of artsy market type things going on. This is kind of like the prime weekend for that. And I'm sure it's that way all over the world. If for places that celebrate Christmas and Hanukkah and all of these things and Kwanzaa and whatnot. This weekend, there's a couple of note here in Charleston. There's one at the Purple Buffalo, I believe, on Saturday. And then there's another one on Sunday at Tradesman Brewing. And local artist here, Patch Whiskey, is going to be doing some live spray painting. There's going to be live music, that kind of thing. So yeah, look around, look at what's going on in your town. And if you can, if you feel safe and you're able to go support some local artists, do it. And if that's not an option for you, maybe start looking into some local artists, see what they have to offer, see if any of them have anything for sale, and support these people. They need the support. They need to buy Christmas presents for their loved ones as well. So if you buy some art from them, then they can buy some stuff for the people that they love. How's that sound? That sounds good, right? That's a happy thing to think about. Let's get to the news. The news! Singer-songwriter Bob Dylan has sold the rights to his entire song catalog to Universal Music Group. It includes both the income Dylan currently receives as a songwriter and his control of each song's copyright. Universal will acquire around 600 tracks, or about 5 years worth of Guided by Voices output, taken from a career spanning 6 decades. Sorry. The terms of the deal were not made public, but it's thought to be worth in the hundreds of millions of dollars. The legendary singer is the latest artist to join forces with the Los Angeles-based UMG, following the likes of Bruce Springsteen, Billie Eilish, Kendrick Lamar, and Post Malone. So what does this all mean? Well, for fans of his music, nothing really changes. It remains available on streaming services and vinyl and CDs and whatnot. But behind the scenes, the money's now going in a different direction. From now on, Universal Music will receive all future income on Dylan's vast catalog of songs. Every time Just Like a Woman or Make You Feel My Love gets played on the radio, licensed to a film, or covered by another artist, the company will get a royalty payment. And Bob Dylan gets nothing anymore. Well, he's getting a lot now. They also get to decide which films or TV commercials can use Bob Dylan songs in the future. There's the bad part for the fans. When they say nothing changes, it's like, yeah, but the integrity of these songs gets to just be decided by a corporate stooge. In return, Dylan receives a lump sum said to be worth anywhere between $20 million and $450 million. Neither Universal nor Dylan's team would disclose the value of the purchase. But the upper end of the estimate is actually realistic. For comparison, Stevie Nicks sold a majority stake in her publishing catalog for $80 million just last week. Dylan's portfolio of more than 600 era-defining songs will be valued at a much higher rate. The sale of song catalogs has become a booming business during the COVID-19 pandemic, with investors seeing music as a relatively stable asset in an otherwise turbulent market. The likes of Blondie, Barry Manilow, and the estates of John Lennon and Kurt Cobain have all sold their rights of music in recent years. Man, I'm telling you what, man, that's... There's some artists, like, it makes sense, and I get it, he's 79 years old. Why not just go off into the sunset on, like, your own personal yacht? I get it, But those songs are more important than the man. The part about them being able to do what they want with them is what scares me. When you cheapen them, you are robbing his fans. You're robbing the people that grew up with that music. I'm a little, younger than the average Bob Dylan fan who grew up in the 60s with that music, but I still appreciate it and love it. And of course, bands that we all love have covered his music over the years. To see it become kind of like Disney, how they handle Star Wars, where they're just constantly putting out stuff and it's just saturated and every once in a while there's something cool, but on the overall scheme of things, it makes it like less precious. It just kind of takes away all of the coolness. On the other hand, congratulations, Bob Dylan. You're even richer than you were. So I'm sure your family will be extremely happy with your decision, at least for the next couple hundred years. Jeez. Moving along. John Oliver has a way of getting results. Thanks to the Last Week Tonight host, Pringles Chips on Tuesday introduced a full-body Mr. P, or Julius Pringle, the brand's mascot. Usually just a face, Oliver became fixated on the image after a throwaway joke on his HBO show inspired fans to share their ideas of how the rest of Mr. Pringle might look. Is he tall or short? Does he have a lot of body hair or is he completely smooth? When will he be able to tell me what his nipples look like? Oliver wondered. Last Week Tonight is technically off air for the rest of the year, but Oliver became so entranced with the Pringles mascot, he shot another web segment for the bit, and it premiered this past Sunday on YouTube, and it's garnered more than 4.2 million views. In order to get some answers, the HBO host said that his show would donate $10,000 to Feeding America for an official image of Pringles mascot. Well, guess what? Pringles accepted. On Tuesday of this week, not only did we see the first recipient of the COVID-19 vaccine, but Pringles broke their silence via tweet, featuring a video of mascot Julius Pringle opening the door to what might be his palatial home, and revealed a very mascot-y looking fit person dressed in what looks like a Santa suit if Santa grew up in Miami. His red fuzzy sport coat with white cuffs, and he had gloves on, and he had a white t-shirt with a big old red Pringles logo on the chest. and his footwear kind of looked like oversized Converse Chuck Taylor All-Stars. The video tweet stated, "The moment John Oliver and Last Week Tonight have been waiting for. In honor of every second John has thought of Mr. Peabody, we're donating $1 to Feeding America," which happens to be $10,000. So if my math is correct, Feeding America is getting $10,000 from HBO and $10,000 from Pringles. So that's $20,000 for a silly joke that went out of hand or got out of hand. And that's fantastic. I love it. That might be almost as good as John Oliver getting a sewage plant named after him this year in Danbury, Connecticut. John Oliver has figured it out. All right, let's move on. I think this next story is going to make a lot of people happy. The United States Federal Trade Commission today teamed up with 46 states, the District of Columbia, and the Territory of Guam to sue Facebook for maintaining an illegal social networking monopoly through years of anti-competitive conduct. Woohoo! Am I being biased? Facebook is accused of engaging in a systematic strategy to eliminate threats to its monopoly, which included the 2012 acquisition of Instagram and the 2014 acquisition of WhatsApp. Facebook's actions have harmed competition, left consumers with few choices for personal social networking, and deprived advertisers of the benefits of competition. The FTC is aiming for a permanent injunction, which would require the divestiture of assets that include Instagram and WhatsApp, which would mean Facebook would have to be forced to sell the two social networks. Facebook would also be prohibited from imposing anti-competitive conditions on software developers, and it would need the government approval for future mergers and acquisitions. Personal social networking is central to the lives of millions of Americans, said Ian Connor, director of the FTC's Bureau of Competition. Facebook's actions to entrench and maintain its monopoly deny consumers the benefits of competition. Our aim is to roll back Facebook's anti-competitive conduct and restore competition so that the innovation and free competition can thrive. According to the FTC, Facebook's dominance in social networking has provided it with staggering profits, including revenue of more than $70 billion and profits of more than $18.5 billion in 2019 alone. Facebook's been under investigation for more than a year, with that investigation culminating in the lawsuits filed today. That is just awesome. I don't use WhatsApp, but I know it's like very, 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 very popular in the world. I try not to use a whole lot of Facebook, but I do use a lot of Instagram, as do most creative people. I think it might be the number one place where creative people connect with each other. And that's unfortunate because it's turning more and more into Facebook every day. And knowing what we know about Facebook, it's a little sketchy. There's some artists I follow too. They have these weird policies about nudity, and artists are constantly like the line keeps getting moved on them as to what's acceptable and what's art and what's quote unquote pornography. And when you're the only game in town, if somebody takes away your account because of an algorithm deciding, hey, that's a dirty nipple. Not just any nipple. That's a dirty female nipple. Male nipples are okay. I don't know how they tell the difference. Is it? I don't know. How do you tell the difference? I don't know. But all I know is if you've got what looks like a female nipple, yanked. You're done. You're done. But if that's your main way of connecting with your fans and other artists, that's kind of anti-competitive. In the meantime, if you are an artist, you really, really, really need to just invest in getting your own website. Make sure you have a place that's not controlled by any large company like a Facebook. If it gets taken away, and it happens all the time, you want to have a place where you let people know, hey, go to my website just in case something happens. For instance, if my show gets pulled for whatever reason, or whatever crazy thing that might happen, you can always go to jwnpod.com and find out what's going on. You can keep in touch with me there. You can find links to the show. You can send me email through there or whatever. If there was ever a problem, I could give you direction on how to find me again. But that's what you need to do as a creative person, especially if you're making art that might be deemed as like questionable by weird, prude people. I don't know. But yeah, even if you have the most milquetoast art in the world, you still don't want to depend on any of these companies to hold the keys to your livelihood. All right, folks, I think that about, that does it for today. There is a positive outlook. We have a dark, long winter ahead of us, but there's a light at the end of the tunnel. There's a light. Okay, that was bad. I'm gonna invoke my Rocky Horror Picture Show love. Anyway, my guest next week is a fun one. She is an artist. She is originally from Brooklyn, and she recently moved here right before the pandemic. Good timing. And I didn't know her very well, and she reached out to me, and I liked what she's doing, and we took the opportunity of recording a podcast to get to know each other. And she also performed some music for me and you. And look for that on Monday. Otherwise, have a great weekend. Go out to some holiday market if it's open, if it's safe in your area. Support some local artists. Do that this weekend, please. They need it. You need it. Everybody needs it. All right. Peace.